Hello, my name is Alistair Bain and this is the first in the video series focusing on the 4 phases of play within the Seacoast United Development Academy game model. In this video we'll be focusing on primarily our attack play from a restart but also from a default position when we have possession of the ball, looking at some of the techniques we'll be utilising to attack and try and create goals. So the first and probably most important piece of the attack phases of play focuses on build-up. So the first thing we're going to look at here is the horizontal spaces between our opponent's attacking sheet. Once we've established where the gaps are horizontally, we also have to factor in where the gaps are vertically. So looking at the spacing, for example, between the 9 and the 10 and how big an area that is, but also between the wingers and the fullbacks. So in this particular shot we've started in a 4-4-2 position. We're now going to move both midfielders in the spaces between the striker and the number 10, but also to go in behind the 2 defensive midfield players. And we've now asked both strikers to stretch wide and stand in the spaces between the opposition fullback and centre back. We're standing in these positions to hopefully pull out the opponent from their default defensive position, but also to prevent them from pressing forward as a group and advancing up the field. The next phase in build-up is trying to create a 3 versus 2 or a 4 versus 3 scenario in wide areas. We'll see here we've created this by having our fullback stretch high but our winger tuck into the half space to create the 3 versus 1 or 3 versus 2 pocket on the ball side. Now as we advance forward we break the midfielder's line by an outside ball from the winger, and it now allows our fullback to draw out the opposing number 3 and play into an area where the opponents are now defending with 3 players versus the 4 that they started with. An example of this in live play is the number 6 now drops forward and pulls out the opposition number 10 that's standing beside him. We've actually asked both fullbacks that are highlighted here to come into central areas to give us a central overload and create a 3 versus 2 in the midfield zone. So now when the left back picks up possession and plays a forward ball, a further overload happens in the opposition's back line as we have 5 strikers against the opposition's back 4. So now we've established what build-up play is, let's look at how we pass through the field to advance forward into our strikers. So what is a vertical passing pattern? Ultimately it's building the ball through the 3 central zones of the field in a forward motion, allowing the rest of the team to collect and move forward. So when we find ourselves in attacking positions, the unit is moved forward as a group and we've maintained a higher position. Here's an example of the club's PDL team. Here we see the opponent is set up in 3 lines of pressure, and as we build forward, they've used up, back and through passing techniques now to allow the central midfield to drive the ball forward and then advance into wide areas, stretching the opponent's back 4 and allowing us to cross the ball in unopposed positions, and allows the central players to get into the box again to find an attacking spot. In closing, we'll see here that the rest of the units moved themselves further forward and allowed them now to advance into higher positions in the opponent's half. The next mechanism is the use of platforms. So platforms are moving the ball into players in between opposition lines. So we'll see here the left central midfielder has taken up a higher position, which now allows the number 5 to play a vertical forward pass in between the lines, breaking the midfield and forward lines of pressure and allowing the midfield to advance forward from there. In this next clip we'll see as play shifts across to the left hand side. The pass now that's played into the platform is to the striker, who's already positioned between the 2 lines of defensive pressure and now is able to set back to a winger who's also within the platform, who can then play the forward pass to the weak side winger. Let's take a moment now to look at some of these examples in live play from this summer's PDL team. while in these last couple clips we've saw platforms created between the opponent's back line and midfield line, the same can also happen between the opponent's forward line and midfield line. Here we'll see the defensive midfielders positioning between the opponent's forward press and midfield line and allowing them to now turn and build forward again in that platform position. So the last technique within attack play we'll be looking at this season is half spaces. The half spaces essentially are the two areas that are highlighted in yellow here as we divide the field into 5 vertical channels, and are structurally the weakest point of the opponent, essentially due to the spaces that are left when central players come to press the ball between the lines of play. Here we'll see an example of play building into wide areas. The number 8 now is positioning himself within the half space, is now able to find a spot between the two lines of pressure and then play a forward pass into the striker. Here in this clip from the club's PDL team we'll see the centre back is now able to advance forward. The right sided central midfielder takes up a high position between the lines, and now as he comes towards the ball he draws pressure and now allows an opening in the opponent's back line for our centre back to pass into. In this second example we'll see as build-up play shifts across to the right hand side, and again our right central midfielder is able to pick up possession again within the half space. He now drives forward and causes a motion not only on the ball side for pressure to come out of the back line, but also on the weak side as he shifts across the field, that the full back now gets pinned too high and he's able to penetrate the back line with a through ball to the left winger.